When you think of games with a big modding scene, games like Garry's Mod, Skyrim, and Minecraft likely come to mind.
Who are you?
Now these modders have my infinite respect, given they create these mods for free for everyone to enjoy. Except you, Garden of Eyes. Yeah, that one might do a whole other video on. As such, they are very much labours of love, a means of player to give back to the game they love and its community. Personally, I feel that these games likely wouldn't have been kept alive without the modders that provide new content, creating new ways to play these games for like the 50th time. I mean, I remember I've downloaded so many Skyrim mods just to play it for an hour, and then like it crashed once and not to play it again. Like the modding becomes more fun than the game somehow. And I mean, especially like Garry's mod. I mean, have you seen the role players in that game?
Fight me if you want to fight. Do you actually want to fight? Do you want to fight? Do you want to fight? Look at me. Do you want to fight? Your name is Leg. I'm going to break yours.
Today, I want to show you a mod that lets you feel the love the creators have for Halo. This is Mercury Rising by Altus94, a 2-mission campaign that blends cut content from Halo Combat Evolved's alpha and custom story content to create a beautiful experience. It had me laughing. Holy fuck. What the fuck? Are they trying to ambush me? Sneaky bastards. Crying.
I've been roaming around, always looking down at all I see. Painted.
The medic has died.
No! Oh, why did they do a checkpoint? Oh, no! And feeling very cool. Right, stay in the vehicle. What is this? Spear gun? Oh, now we're talking.
I've had enough of those recon drone prototypes. I don't care if it's Mark III, Mark IV, there's always something wrong.
Join me as I take a look into this wonderful mod, and hopefully by the end you'll feel like checking it out yourself. Mission 1 is a simple rescue mission. A distress beacon has been detected emanating from an Arctic valley, and we are sent in to find its source and aid whoever sent the signal. The map facilitates this objective by giving us a small valley to explore, with enemy encounters placed to organically guide us to where we are meant to go, without an objective marker directly telling us where it is that we're meant to go. For instance, there's a large group of hostiles surrounding a heavily defended structure, which chances are that's where we're meant to go. And so, as pointed out to us without an objective marker that we can use our own clever noggin to decipher that that's where we're meant to go. Along the route to that main location are points of interest that offer the player weapons and equipment to aid us as we progress. I really like this approach to level design because it lets the player explore at their own pace and it rewards you for your curiosity. Even if you find yourself at the wrong location, there's a reward for discovering it. When you reach the main objective, there are multiple paths you can choose to enter the structure, each are littered with different enemy groups and weapons for the player to take advantage of. Do you want to take the front head-on and engage in multiple enemy infantry and vehicles, or perhaps you want to take the less populated path with fewer but tougher enemies like golden elites? This lets you approach the structure from the side if you choose to go this way, therefore avoiding the tough fight with multiple weaker enemy infantry and enemy vehicles in exchange for a tougher battle in a smaller closed space. The player is rewarded for taking the time to assess their options, and it lets you engage with the level how you feel is best for your playstyle. One of my favourite examples of the varied approaches is simple, but I feel it encapsulates what the mod is all about: exploration. When you approach the forward structure housing the main objective, there is an entrance with what seems to be a bit of debris that's ajar covering up the doorway. It's kind of like a broken door. If you approach this entrance, the debris will explode, knocking you back, and you'll be ambushed by these little spider drone sentinel things, which at first caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that. This, however, isn't the only entry point. If you take the time to explore the upper external level of the structure, you can enter through the ceiling, avoiding the ambush completely. Moments like these, where the player is rewarded for exploring different avenues, is exciting, and also offers replayability, changing how you approach these missions. Entering the Foreigner facility, we're attacked by new Sentinel variants which imprisoned a squad of Marines. Once we free them, they inform us that there is a plot by the Covenant to use the facility, and that we must activate the Foreigner defences to prevent them from achieving that. This takes us to the part of the map you have likely not explored yet, an empty Foreigner structure now populated by Sentinels defending it. Inside, we activate the Foreigner defences, then our Marine friend starts yapping about the Prophet or something and tries to kill us. So I killed him and took his sick-ass revolver, and it turns out that these Marines fooled us into coming here with the distress beacon and have sided with the Covenant, meaning we now have to face human enemies too, which was a really unique addition to the enemy sandbox. For me, it was quite the twist, I wasn't expecting it, but scattered throughout the map are audio logs, which provide bits of background story and also hints and tutorials for some of the new equipment you can find, such as the regenerator grenade, which I'll touch on later. In these audio logs, the Marines talk very suspiciously, hinting at some sort of plan they need to stick to. If you're smart, unlike myself, you can probably figure out the incoming betrayal, but I'm just stupid. The final part of this mission is the weakest. It has us overloading 3 cores placed around the map, and then we need to escape via the dam we entered the mission through. So we're basically going to the beginning of the mission again to end it. Admittedly, this part of the mission feels a little lame. It's basically just backtracking, which honestly is pretty fitting for Halo Combat Evolved. However, there are now human enemies in the mix, with snipers taking shots at you from the ridges of the valley above, whilst armored Marines rush you. It was pretty exciting actually, even though the objective was pretty lame, I enjoyed this new take on the enemy sandbox, so it wasn't all that bad. So yeah, that's the first mission, a small and contained level with lots to explore. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it, and it serves as a good introduction to the gameplay and sandbox this mod provides. Mission 2, however, is where it really gets amped up, and the concepts introduced in this mission are upscaled to create something I think is truly special. Now this mission is truly something special. For the sake of ease, I'd like to divide it into 2 halves. The first being a linear path with objective markers pushing us in the right direction, resembling what we see from most typical Halo levels. We start driving through a grassy valley responding to yet another distress signal, this time from a science facility. Environment and terrain are a very big contrast to the first mission, with the first mission being a lot of like bright white colours, and this one, it's a lot of verdant grassy greens, bright blue sky. Very different. It's here we pick up the first of a few companions we can bring along this mission, but I'll discuss that more later. This section plays out like Halo Combat Evolved missions, following a set path to an objective. After retrieving a surveillance drone that enables us to travel across familiar light bridge, the mission's second half begins, which takes place upon an open plains littered with points of interest. Here we need to find the science facility and fend off a Covenant attack. Once you've routed the Covenant, we're tasked with finding 3 scientists stuck within different points of interest amongst the planes. These points of interest are fairly obvious, having unique identifiers, with one, for example, having a UNSC elephant parked, which, given it's the only one on the map, is going to take advantage of players' natural curiosity and draw them to it. But just in case you do struggle, the game does give you an objective indicator when you're close to a scientist's location, which I don't think is hand-holding, and I like it because sometimes you do just miss things, and it's nice that at least as you're naturally exploring, the game will give you a hand every now and again, but it doesn't just baby you towards it. Once you find all 3 scientists, you need to have at least one survive, and take them to the biggest structure in the plains, and they will start hacking a door to open it for you. Whilst they're hacking the door, you need to fend off a Covenant attack, which will bring the plains section to an end. This was definitely my favourite section of the mission, and honestly, the mod as a whole. It brought me back to the open Halo levels, like Halo from Halo Combat Evolved, and the Silent Cartographer, where you can freely explore an open space, collecting weapons and vehicles, as well as searching for hidden Easter eggs, if you're into that sort of thing. Discovery rewards the player's curiosity, which is something done in the Halo games, giving incentive to explore and discover things. Once the structure's door is open, you travel through tight Forerunner corridors reminiscent to those found in Halo 3's The Ark, until you reach the control room, where we enter a boss fight with a fellow Spartan who yaps about human evolution and stuff. Not the most interesting boss fight, if I'm honest, but it wasn't bad by any means. I don't think the motivations of the rogue Spartan are bad. He believes that the conflict between humanity and the Covenant has proven a need for humanity to evolve, and he has the means to achieve this, even saying he doesn't really care about the Covenant or the Great Journey. He's just doing it for the best of humanity, and he urges us to join him, which, whilst pretty cliche, I think it's serviceable. And for a small mod campaign, I wouldn't expect a masterpiece of character writing. It's just fun fighting a fellow Spartan, it makes for an interesting boss fight, and a good way to end the short campaign. As mentioned previously, during the mission we could pick up characters along the way that could be difficult to keep alive, but there are benefits to doing so. Firstly, the medic, who I lovingly called Hank Hill because of the voice, yells at you. He pleads for you to save him during the first half of the mission. You don't have to, but I went into a foreign facility, I rescued him, and he offers to heal you when you need it if you can keep him alive. Then there's a surveillance drone. They purposely make him kind of annoying, which personally I found endearing. When he activates the light bridge, you can leave him behind, but if you stick around for a little bit, he'll come with you. He just sort of hops onto the back of whatever vehicle you're in, and if it has a turret, he even mans it. There's actually a Marine in the planes who will attach an SMG to him, making him actually able to fight for you, which I thought was pretty cool. These two NPCs can die, and if they do die, there's no mission failed screen like Call of Duty, except for the surveillance drone before he activates the light bridge. It can be difficult to keep them alive, and I did admittedly reset a lot of times because I would like lead one to their death and then get a checkpoint, and I just couldn't leave them to die. The mod developers purposely manipulated my natural disposition towards keeping friendly NPCs alive, and so even though I struggled and struggled, I kept going, and I was rewarded for my efforts. Not only did I get the support from both companions, but there's an extra reward at the end of the campaign if you keep them alive. I'm not going to spoil what that was, but trust me, it's worth it. It's pretty great. Mechanics like this really show the creators' love for their project bleeding through into the projects themselves. They know how us Halo players function and reward us for it, catering to a community they know very well. Alongside the medic and surveillance drone, there are 3 scientists you can rescue. You only need to keep 1 alive, but for scientists they actually hit pretty hard and they provide some great fire support if you can keep all of them alive. Much like the Marines in regular Halo levels, there's no special reward for keeping them all alive, but if you do, you have the extra firepower. The open plains section of this level was my favourite part of the entire mod, hands down. Mercury Rising does a great job of making its spaces interesting and taking advantage of the player's natural curiosity to draw us towards both objectives and cool areas. There wasn't any part of this map that felt empty. Everywhere you went had a story to tell or loot to provide that would aid you throughout the mission. I stumbled upon a cave with a massive fuck-off beast that tried to maul me to death, but what was waiting in there for me when I beat him? My favourite weapon in the game, the spear launcher. I'll get into the weapons later, but man, was this a fun weapon to use. I know I've said it a lot in this video already, but exploration felt so rewarding and purposeful. You could tell the map was carefully crafted and creativity flourished during the process. For example, one of the locations I entered, which had one of the missing scientists in, was this warm, orange-hued cave full of like flowing magma. And I wasn't expecting this sort of location, but it was really fun to fight through as a little arena and a nice change. Altis really knew how to create unique environments and sort of blend them together, and I really respect them for that. It was just like, I can't gush about it enough. It was just like magnificent. I loved it. It really encapsulated what the Halo rings are supposed to be about. You know, these artificial like terrains and stuff. I loved it. Overall, the story and objectives of the missions are good. Nothing groundbreaking, but they don't need to be. Activating consoles, fending off waves of enemies, or just general shooting galleries are nothing new to Halo campaigns, but the additions to the Sandbox allow you to enjoy them as new experiences, and creative use of set pieces keep them feeling different each time. The narrative facilitates an incredibly fun gameplay experience by allowing diegetic introduction of new enemy types such as the Insurgents, which are the human enemies, whilst giving motivation and direction to the player. I like the portrayal of the humans joining the Covenant, even if it's not really lore accurate. I don't really care, as long as it makes it fun, you know, and makes sense within the mod itself. I don't see it as an issue. I could easily see humans being swayed by the Covenant, especially former insurgents who already hated the UNSC pre-Human Covenant War. The audio logs scattered throughout each mission were a welcome addition and contain good hints about new equipment and enemies you'll encounter, often wrapped up in like a comedic back and forth between Marines or Grunts. I definitely got a few laughs out of them and think the voice actors for the Grunts did a really good job. Often audio logs feel redundant in a lot of games because all they do is explain what we already know or give bits of lore that can easily be missed. But I feel the humour makes them worth listening to, definitely at least once. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the beautiful soundtrack made for the mod. It really captures the mysticism and majesty of the Halo Combat Evolved soundtrack. It really is beautiful, and I'll probably have it playing throughout this video, so thank you Cheechas for this wonderful score. This part is actually off script, you can probably tell. I think that the missions are really good, and I really like how they cater to Halo players. You could definitely feel whilst playing this that it was made by someone that really enjoys Halo, and that's what mods should be about. People who love the game giving back to the community by creating something using their experiences that they enjoyed, that we can enjoy. It's very good of them to, you know, bring this together for us to enjoy, and I have so much respect for mod developers, and I'm so grateful to them for keeping like Halo alive, even if the actual devs just abandon them. So thank you. Now that we've covered the missions and the story, I'd like to talk about the additions to the Sandbox the mod brings to the table. Firstly, we're going to talk weapons. Whilst there are some vanilla weapons available, the shotgun, needler, plasma pistol, and plasma rifle being some of them, most weapons are new, or new variants of vanilla weapons. And I could honestly sit here and talk about every single weapon, but I'm going to focus on my favourites, and I want you to go play it so that you can see which ones I did mention are present and you can find your favourites. Firstly, the Silence Assault Rifle feels very satisfying to use, and Tristan's Sidearm, which, yeah, I'm going to keep calling that, even though it is just known as the pistol, feels like the Magnum if it was a sniper. The revolver felt like the revolver from Half-Life, and I absolutely love it for that. It's powerful but difficult to aim, so it isn't completely overpowered. The gravity rifle is honestly hilarious to use, and bewildering when used against you. Being able to fling enemies off a cliff is really fun, I can't lie. And I can't even be mad when I get flung off a cliff because, like, Jesus, you know, if I'm gonna do it to them, they can do it to me. And forget the Mauler, because the Excavator is insane. Firing a shotgun blast of random green shit that is highly inaccurate but extremely powerful in close quarters is just, it's phenomenal. And finally, the Spear Launcher, my favorite weapon in the game, hands down. It's just so fun to use and satisfying, and I didn't even realize you could charge it up to make it fire further until like the end of the game, which was sad for me, but you know now. Not only does it impale enemies with just this harpoon spear looking thing, but the spear also explodes. So you can basically snipe with this thing, and you know, you don't want to use it up close because the explosion probably will kill you, so you use it from a good range. And these are only a few of the weapons you can use, and I really do implore you to try it yourself and see what you find, because chances are there are weapons that I missed. I honestly wish I could carry more than 2 weapons at a time, like I was playing Doom, because I wanted to try everything, and I didn't want to leave anything behind. And that to me is a big sign that the weapon sandbox is very enjoyable, and each edition is unique in its function. There aren't any weapons I found that felt pointless or there wasn't some unique reason to use them, and I think that is one of the most important aspects about a weapon sandbox. You don't want 2 weapons that feel the same. There's also 2 grenades that have been added, the Regenerator Grenade and Bubble Shield Grenade. These are the equipment from Halo 3, but they're just grenades, so you throw them as if they were a grenade and they deploy, which is pretty cool. I didn't really use the Bubble Shield much, but I did die a lot, so, you know, probably could have prevented that. But the Regenerator was incredibly useful because it actually heals your companions in the second mission, which I honestly made my life so much easier. They weren't groundbreaking additions, but it was fun to see them in Halo Combat Evolved. Vehicles in Mercury Rising are comprised of vehicles from across the franchise. The main vehicle you'll use is the Warthog on Caterpillar tracks, which not super unique, but it's pretty pretty fun addition, makes it handle a bit differently. There's also a flamethrower variant of the Warthog found in the second mission, which offers, you know, Warthog variety, and variety is the spice of hog riding, I think? I don't know. I did also spot some mongooses. Mongeese? I don't know. But they were all broken, so I don't actually think you can find any that are working. Falcons also make an appearance, which I wasn't expecting, but you can't fly any of them. It's only for enemy use. And there's also an elephant, which you can't drive, but you can use the rocket turret on the top, which is pretty neat. The coolest UNSC vehicle is the Stealth Tank, a beefy killer machine that fires shrapnel shells. It's a shame that you only get access to it at the end of the second mission, but I implore you to have as much fun with it as you can. It really lets you enjoy a power trip. When it comes to the Covenant vehicles, you've got the Shadow Inspector from Halo 2. I actually had to use the Shadow as a bus at one point because all of my companions couldn't fit in a Warthog, so I thought that was pretty neat, though admittedly I mostly ignored these vehicles in favour of the Warthog. What can I say, I like riding hogs. There's also a Grunt that rides one of the creatures. I mean, does that count as a vehicle? It's kinda, so yeah, that exists. My god, chicken jockey! There is no shortage of new enemy types in this mod, that's for sure. I'm honestly impressed how they managed to keep them all feeling unique. I'll break them down into 4 categories. You got the Covenant, the Insurgents, Sentinels, and just general wildlife. I'll start with the Covenant. New hunter creatures have been added, which is really cool to see the Golo worms used in different ways. You have the nimble foot soldiers that attack from mid-range. Then there's the weird spider crab robot things, which are bulkier but slow. They're kind of like infantry tanks. It was really cool to see the hunter worms take different forms than the standard hunters we've become accustomed to. Speaking of hunters, there's also new hunter variants. One that wields a gravity wrench and one that wields a plasma mortar-like weapon. The gravity wrench doesn't do much damage, but it lifts you up in the air, so if you're in a vehicle, you're just going to get flipped over and crushed. It's actually kind of terrifying. The plasma mortar allows the hunter to attack from range, and the projectiles leave lasting fire upon impact, which is mildly annoying, but I didn't find them too tough to fight. There are also these massive armored yeti-like creatures that step on you, and they killed me a fair few times by somehow sneak attacking me, which I don't get because they're massive, but it just came out of nowhere. Insurgents are where you'll find the most diversity. You got regular foot soldiers like the Marines we're accustomed to, shotgunners that are fairly bulky, heavily armored flamethrower and chain gun users, which absolutely demolish you if you get too close, and they're actually pretty difficult to take down. And then there's snipers that make themselves obvious by using red lasers for some reason. You have grenade launcher troops, and etc, etc. Weak to headshots because of those squishy heads, except the armored juggernaut-like units that could take quite the beating. It was wild fighting human enemies and Covenant enemies at the same time. Definitely shakes up the formula. Having our own technology used against us is a surefire way to catch you off guard. Sentinels in this new campaign are all new, and their budget has just been clearly increased because they're rocking new weapons. You've got needler ones, these big beefy ones with fuel rod cannons that kind of look like a beta version of the Enforcers from Halo 2. Ones that fire the regular Sentinel beam, but they've got a shield so they don't die immediately. These like little spider fucker things I mentioned earlier that are pretty hard to shoot, they have just regular Sentinel beams. All of them were fun additions that flesh out a faction that had like barely any enemy types. I mean, before Halo 2 they had one enemy type, in Halo 2 they had 2 enemy types, and then from then they just had one enemy type rather. And finally, you've got the random wildlife you can come across. These really help to bring the world to life, even if seeming like a small addition. Seeing groups of animals running around reminds you that even though Halo is an artificial construct, it does support life. Usually wildlife is limited to flat-looking birds in the background and some little bugs that scatter about, but here we've really got it all. Weird beetle things, big dragonfly bird things, dinosaurs, giant rock snake things that pretend to be rocks to fool you. There really is a lot. These come from the early Halo builds that didn't make it to final release, which is cool to see them put here. It's a glimpse of what really could have been if the direction hadn't been changed so much. I don't dislike what we got with Halo Combat Evolved, but it's so much fun to see what could have been. I could show you everything that's been added by this mod. It'd be fun to cover everything if I'm honest, but that would make this video far longer than it needs to be, and this way you've got something to discover if you play this mod for yourself. I made this video in hopes that after watching, you'll check it out for yourself. Experience the love that was put into the mod by Altus94, and enjoy an experience that's unique to you. You've only seen what I've seen. Modding is something that is incredibly important to me because I've been playing player-made mods since I was 12. I've played so many mods made by talented people, and so this is how I'd like to pay them back for all the work that they've done. Mercury Rising embodies everything that I love about modding, adding to the game I already love whilst giving me new experiences and a reason to play the game I've played so much. When I play a mod, I want to feel the love the creators have put into it, whether it be a mod made by a whole team or one person, whether it be the highest quality or a mediocre project, it doesn't matter to me. What's important is that passion was put into its creation. Mercury Rising is just one of many mods out there, and I really hope you explore this one for yourself. I had so much fun, and I hope you will too. That's all I have for you today. I really hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it made sense. It's a bit of a ramble. This sort of thing is very new to me, but I had fun creating this look into Halo Mercury Rising, so until the next time, I'll see you in the next one.